Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's SAP Community Call, which is all about SAP Signavio and how SAP Signavio delivers RISE with SAP across SAP S/4HANA and SAP BTP. My name is Laura. I'm an SAP Community Advocate and will be moderating this call today. And with me, I have three great speakers that I would like to introduce. We have Susanne Vollhardt, who leads the global SAP BTP Business Architects team. Then we have Tobias Unger, who is Global Head of SAP Signavio Strategic Customer Transformation, and also Michael Sokollek, who is Senior Director of SAP Signavio Strategic Customer Transformation. Happy to have you here today. Before we start, a few notes from my side. As always, this call will be a 60-minute session, and we have some dedicated time for Q&A towards the end. So please, everyone, feel free to post your questions here in the chat in YouTube. And in order to be able to do so, make sure you're logged into your YouTube account to participate in the chat and get answers to your questions. And with that being said, I'll hand it over to Tobias to start the presentation.
Thank you, Laura, and very much welcome to our session. I hope you can see my screen now. Before we come to the topic of S/4HANA and BTP transformation within an SAP RISE context, let me quickly give you a very short introduction to what really SAP Signavio is and how it drives value in business process transformation. So SAP Signavio is a cloud-based process transformation suite that gives companies and specifically the business users the ability to understand, improve, and transform all of their end-to-end processes fast and at scale across SAP and non-SAP solutions, and specifically across the core SAP solutions, which are S/4HANA Cloud and BTP as extensibility platform. And those you will find at the very center of most enterprise architecture maps. So what is continuous business process transformation and why does it matter? In order to transform and in order to adopt new capabilities, also on the technology side, you need to adjust your processes and your value chains, maybe on a daily basis. You may have compelling events like a RISE transformation when you want to really renovate the house on the IT side, move from on-premise to cloud solutions. What you will do is you will adjust the functionalities and you will adjust the technological capabilities, but also the way your business users work. That's where SAP Signavio comes into play. Important is that we combine in SAP Signavio the key elements of a complete business process transformation suite, which on the one hand side is everything you already know around process analytics, which includes process mining, of course, but also a very smart instant coffee solution, which Michael will show you in a couple of minutes. And then also the classical business process management piece, which is all about process design, which is important because if you have all the transparency and the analytics, you also need to know what is your standard. How does a good practice model look like? That's where we deploy a lot of content on the process reference and process architecture side, where you can really see how the solutions were meant to work and where you can make transparent how distant you currently are with your as-is performance on the processes. And we connect this to the transformation on the IT side. We connect it via application lifecycle management to the S/4 transformation. Michael will come back to that. And we also connect it via RLM to other SAP solutions so that you really can integrate the transformation on the business side with the transformation on the IT side and manage this out of one suite. SAP Signavio is not only a business process transformation toolbox, it also entails a third methodology, how you want to approach as a business your transformation, either on a step-by-step basis or as said, on a more transformative basis, for example, in a RISE context. And we deliver a lot of value accelerators, specifically for SAP solutions, which is important because those accelerators will enable you to be very fast in the moment to understand what does good look like, where you are in terms of benchmark towards the industry, or how to really model out your solutions from SAP. Having said that, what are our key KPIs? We have two. One is fast time to insight. In the first instance, with our process analytics capabilities, we want to enable you to get very fast, actionable insights on your current process performance. And as I said, there are two solutions behind. One, which I call the instant coffee solution, Process Insights, you can deploy with two subnodes directly in your SAP ECC S4 systems, and it will deliver you over 1,300 KPIs instantly, over 60 process models, so that you could directly go into a business-sided discussion on where are your key improvement areas. And on this level, we also deliver you the reference to the benchmarks so that you can see where you are, but also we give you indications where you can improve. Michael will come back to that. Classical process mining, we of course also deliver. This specifically is important when you want to go outside of the SAP realm, when you want to analyze end-to-end processes, when you want to go really deeper, and when you want to model out certain events that do not come within our process analytics standard. You can do that with our process intelligence tool very easily. And let me show you two proof points. One proof point, we can go live within less than a day across more than 27 system client instances with Process Insights and deliver you a very good picture of how your processes on SAP ECC or S4HANA are performing today. This is a client example where we delivered this, as said, in less than a day, and we deployed basically all the outputs into a very graphical SAP Analytics Cloud cockpit so that the management and leadership could directly jump into decision mode and identify where the key value potentials are and where they can they could directly compare the process level performance across their entire system landscape. Another proof point, we delivered classical process mining at another client for a P2P flow in also less than a day. And we directly could go in 24 hours to the value realization workshops with over 9 use cases and millions of potential identified. This is really important as we want to enable you to really jump to insights, jump to conclusions fast in order not to have an IT-sided discussion, but really have a business-sided discussion on where the value potential is and on which cases of these you want to realize first. Based on that, the centerpiece of the SAP Signavio Process Transformation Suite is really the business process management. And this brings us to our second lighthouse KPI, which is fast time to adapt. And this is really important because what brings you all the analytics of this world? What value does it really bring when you do not know what your next step will be in terms of realizing this value? So you need to have a standard. We believe business process modeling is the very best discipline to model out this standard on the business side and then be able to bridge this business process standard to an application standard on the IT side. That's why we deploy a lot of best practice on the level of business processes. We always have connected these business processes with the IT solution capabilities. We can, in a very live environment, connect these, for example, via enterprise architecture tools, to have all the information on a process level and on a solution level in one tool at one fingertip of the business user, and also have the analytics on top in order to indicate where the current performance lies. And then basically from there on have also very targeted solution discussions. For example, for capabilities, for business capabilities, you want to deploy on BTP. For automation solutions, you want to deploy in BTP Build, or for fixes or complete template configurations on the core solution side, like S4HANA, and also very soon on SAP Ariba. So this enables you to be very fast also in the cycle of adapting your processes and via these adoptions also drive the IT solution adoption on the other side in order to realize the value fast. And we can build this bridge very easily for the business users and in a very integrated way. How this works for an S4 transformation, let me hand over to Michael Sokollek.
Thanks, Tobias. I've been working with a lot of customers in the past that were running an ECC system and were about to move to SAP S/4HANA. What matters to them? It matters to them to transform in a way that is manageable for their organization, that balance risk and costs, but most importantly, that adds value. Because transformation without any value is very hard in these days to justify, and also to get all the necessary resources from the business side behind the project. And therefore, it's important that a transformation that wants to add value touches the processes and unlocks value potential. Value potential that might be sleeping in the system, as Toby was already outlining, but just simply understanding how processes are run today, but also value potential by using new capabilities that SAP S/4HANA brings along with. So to avoid that it's just a technical lift and shift type of project where nothing gets changed, because if nothing gets changed, there is no value. What you can see on that slide is a very simple lesson that we've learned. I think you probably, when you're listening in, have also realized that if you want to really add value, you need to align your IT side to your business side. And you do this by aligning your business strategy, understanding your business strategy, understanding what processes might matter in an initial transformation of an existing ECC system first and foremost to be improved, and understand what solution capabilities, as Toby was also outlining, are the ones be that you're going to address. And this is an infinitive loop. This is a loop that never starts, but basically the first iteration that you're going to run when you're on an ECC system is, for example, to analyze your processes, identify enhancement potentials, design new processes, and then hand over to the ALM side, implementing those solutions. But once you're done, once you completed the transition, for example, once you completed a new implementation or conversion, you're not stopped, because whatever you've built as process models, as KPIs, as governance structures, that is something that you will carry forward into your daily operations. So if Toby goes on the next slide, we will look at this in a process type of view. So I trust if you ahead of your S/4HANA transformation or your RISE journey, you have already done a fair bit of an analysis of how you approach this type of project. You've maybe digged into methodologies such as SAP Activate. What we're going to show on this slide is a breakdown of the infinity loop that you've seen before with our capabilities into a flattened infinity loop, showing what are the steps and how we're going to support the steps of a S/4HANA journey, of an S/4HANA transformation with our products. The assumption is that you, for example, have an ECC system or multiple ECC systems running, maybe even non-SAP systems. So you have continuously processes that are being executed by an S/4HANA system or with extensions on BTP solutions. And the first step that we're going to see here is on the slide, starting on the left-hand side, is to understand those processes, exactly how Toby was showing. We have here, and we go a little bit deeper and also show that solution in a moment, the capability in a very, very fast manner to understand the core end-to-end processes of any ECC and also S/4HANA solution, and identify improvement potentials. Short-term improvement potentials, such as the cleanup of master data, but also long-term improvement potentials, such as the using of new capabilities in S/4HANA. And once you understand your processes, and might have even digged a little bit deeper in mining at that stage, you start to enhance those processes. And those little enhancements, very often we see make sense to do even before you make the big transformation to SAP S/4HANA, because you simply identify value potential that you do not want to let go and wait until you've completed the S/4HANA transformation, which can take anything between 6 months and 3 years in my experience. But you really want to start to improve, coming also back to the business, showing value and engage. Still, you're going to continue designing your new processes where you say, I realize I need to change, for example, because there might be simplification items, driving change, forcing change in business processes. There might be the compatibility scope, so functionality that is still available in S/4HANA, but is sort of like marked as being become obsolete by the end of 2025. Or there are, generally speaking, new capabilities that are unique to S/4HANA, such as a group reporting in finance for financial consolidation purposes, for example, or a new way to organize your production planning. So you start to design new processes, and in that very moment also understanding what enhancements you might have made in the past, which are now becoming obsolete. That process design that we're going to support, you're going to hand over into the application lifecycle management side, where people start, as always, build a solution, configure the solution, test the solution, deploy solutions. And then the crucial moment comes, as in any project, you need to start to enable, because there is change. And change is something which can propose risk to an organization if you do not enable the people about this change. And again, we're going to come in with SAP Signavio, having a platform where everybody who works in an organization has access to the process repository, to enablement material, understanding how the new process is looking like, and starts to consume them. And then you're going to go again into this infinity loop, understanding how those processes are running that you've improved, whether there's further improvement potential, or whether you might identify that you're not quite there where you expected, and you need to retune. Again, it's an infinite loop. Toby goes one slide further. We go a little bit into more details into these individual steps. So analyze, enhance, we've said it. It's all about understanding how your current processes are running. Again, in my experience, I've seen hardly customers that have on a scale and visibility whether the processes are running, whether they've mastered data issues, how good is the automation rate, how good are the backlog items are like, right? What are the blockers in the processes that prevent standard SAP processes are running fine? So we have this fast insights, but also the deep insights. We can visualize processes. We can also do an as-is process analysis, where we basically come together and model the processes, bringing people together, because a process is not only something that is executed in the system, it might be very well with certain process steps outside of the system. We have then not only the insights, but also shorten the time to adopt. And you will see this in a moment by providing what we're going to call correction recommendations, basically saying, hey, here is something that you better should do. There's a configuration that you should fix. Or there's a master data business partner is a classical one, master data issue, where we would recommend to better clean that up, because it will also cause the issue in the transformation. Or there are certain process variants, certain document types that hardly have been used, but are sitting around the system, just basically being debts of the past, as I'm going to call them, so better clean them up. To reduce complexity, to minimize test effort, and to focus the test effort on those variants that are really being used. We also, in that step, have to determine the business value and how the business value can be realized by improvement potentials, for example, using new S/4HANA capabilities. Because you will be asked the question, well, please explain me, what is the value in this transformation? And this is exactly where in this particular steps we're going to support determining where the value sits and how you're going to realize the value with the capabilities in S/4HANA. And last but not least, we help you at this stage, and you can see it in the right-hand side in the slide, to understand our end-to-end best practice processes and reference architectures. As you know, SAP has reference business architectures, such as the reference business architecture and the reference solution architectures, underlying SAP best practices. And with the help of the SAP Signavio Process Explorer, you can browse those processes, and you can determine where there are processes where you're going to go back to standard and do a highly standardized move during transition. If you go to the next slide, we're going to move from the analysis to enhance to the design phase. And as I said, you're going to leverage your findings of the analysis phase, of the enhanced phase, to define your to-be process models. You start to rethink the right amount of processes in your particular situation that you're in, that you basically consume, that makes your transition manageable, with a strong focus, if you're running SAP ECC for a long time, on standardization, eliminating as much of the custom code enhancement modifications and harmonizations, because if you implemented SAP years ago, spread it all over the world, you have probably replaced existing legacy system, and by doing so, got a lot of process variants in the system, which again, hardly been used in our experience, and just add complexity and cost and slow down any innovation. At some point, You want to put governance around that. You want to understand, okay, these are the processes. Those processes you might going to even have a formal approval cycle before you're going to build them. If you go to the next slide, you're going to move in a fast mode in an implementation project. Real life is a little bit slower into the build of the solution. So we hand over the business requirements, the processes, and translate them into a solution design, into a configuration, into a specification, into an app that we're going to build. And whatever has been formulated as end-to-end processes will help to accelerate those steps, because it will help to tell the users, this is a process, and you're going to do a process-oriented testing, as it says on the slides. You're going to get a stamp that the process is approved and the solution is approved, or you might go back and say, hey, I missed something in my initial design phase. There's a particular step in testing that I need to add. And you enable, in a process-centric manner, the end users about the new capabilities. And obviously, at some point, you're going to go live, and the critical piece of enablement takes place, where you educate your end users about what's now new, what has changed, what legacy custom apps, Z code has been removed, and what new capabilities are being used. I'm going to go to the next slide. We're at the point what was mentioned earlier on. This is the initial run. And depending on the type of transformation, conversion, new implementation, system consolidation, these projects will in detail very much vary. But at some point, you will manage to go live. It might be a template go live. It might be a go live for the entire system. If you do a conversion, it's a big bang where all of your users running on the new S/4HANA instance. But you start to move into a continuous business process monitoring, business process analysis, and continuously rethink your processes. Because what we really, really want is that, not unlike in the past, where I've seen a lot of customers personally that going to get stuck on a certain ECC level and never made the move to the next release, or only in a technical manner, that this modus of understanding your processes, identifying potentials, adopting the system, knowing who to inform about the changes, is something which becomes a habit and which lays the foundation for continuous business process improvement. We go once next. Tobias also mentioned there's one component of our suite, it's a modular suite, it's a cloud-based suite, which is SAP Signavio Process Insights. As I said, the starting point is, again, assuming you run SAP ECC, and there are many customers around who are still running ECC, despite the fact a lot of them have already moved to S/4HANA, that have very little visibility about how their processes are run today. And very often in my role talking to the customer, I get the sentiment, yes, there is a lot of good new things in SAP S/4HANA, but hang on a moment, I don't even know how my processes are run today. How can I know what is relevant? How can I know what I should really use in S/4HANA? And should not I really spend first and foremost my time cleaning up old stuff, understanding the processes? As it says on the slide, we have built a solution in the cloud that connects with your ECC system and later on with the S/4HANA system. Also SAP Ariba, as Tobias mentioned, is on the roadmap for this year. And we have predefined process content. How can we do that? Well, we've built a system, we've built ECC, we've built S/4HANA, we know the end-to-end processes, and we know what are the points that we're going to measure. And this is the content that we provide. So we read out the data out of your system, out of your ECC or S/4HANA system, and with this pre-calculated data, we're going to put it into a cloud application, which, by the way, runs on BTP, which is called SAP Signavio Process Insights. And if Tobias changes now perfectly in timing, we'll have a look at that. It's a short intro, and just to familiarize and to give you a feel. So if Tobias just started, we're going to look at Process Insights. It's browser-based. We can start on the starting page by either understanding an end-to-end process like lead to cash, or we can go to a specific line of business. I think I've chosen finance in here. And we can see straight away what are the process flows that we have been analyzed, where we have blockers, so where are things that are going to be improved, and where are correction recommendations, such as for master data, or for transactional data, or for automation potentials. Further can navigate next to the starting page in the line of business or end-to-end process. But what I'm going to show here, first of all, that I can connect to one system. But as Toby said, we have customers, a lot of customers with multiple SAP ECC instances. We also can connect Process Insights to multiple ECC systems, doing a comparison across multiple systems. Now I'm going to go into the lead to cache area. I can see in lead to cache, our predefined content consists of 18 process flows, end-to-end process flows. And they are divided into various modular processes. Now I just go to invoice to cache. And in invoice to cache, we analyze the invoice to cache with the following 5 process flows. I just go now into the sales, bill, and document creation of FIR accounting, accounts receivable clearing. I can see the number of documents already, and I can see the process flow. So I can see there is a process that starts with a sales billing document created, and at the end, I wish that the customer pays the bill. And somewhere in between, I seem to lose some time. There are some blockers. And if you know the blockers here, if you see the blockers, we can see something like the sales billing documents are created manually. They're not created automatically if the products are shipped, which obviously causes a delay in getting the money for the from the customer and has an impact on the cash flow. I can look at the monetary value, but I also can fill it with all the good SAP fields that you might know if you're an SAP nerd, like the company code or bookers in here. So I can do a company code by company code comparison. And that's what I do for real when I work with customers, that are going to dive into this data and I look, hey, why is a certain company code, a certain country performing differently, as here 22 days are now shown. But not only that, I have individual performance indicators such as automation rate, backlog items, or master data that you've seen as a start page that I can also analyze. And I can obviously always go into the line item level, so the payment usage I've chosen here, and see, okay, what are the payments types that are being used, and I can further drill down and again use filters and see how many payment terms have been used, how often here's a pretty equal split. But very often we see in customer cases that the payment terms or other master data are not being used equally, and there's potential to reduce complexity. I mentioned it already, we have correction recommendations. So what are correction recommendations? This is expert knowledge who usually sits into a subject matter expert's brain who knows, oh, there is something I could do, I could configure with a certain effort. In this particular case, there's a huge number of open items invoices with a net due date in the past, and there's a recommendation what you should do and how you can clean it up. Correction recommendations are something that you can do straight away. You don't have to wait until you're, for example, in S/4HANA. But there's also the innovation recommendations where you pinpoint to innovation recommendations in S/4HANA, but also on other areas such as the user experience Fiori or our SAP solutions. Now let me dive into the line of business side. Before we are in the order to cash and end-to-end process. And here I just want to point out that the logic we have in the product is that we also can look at value drivers. So as I said, and I think Toby also mentioned it, it's all about value that you want to generate. And here we look at the improved procurement FTE productivity as one value driver and going to see what are the analysis capabilities, the content that we're going to provide for this particular value driver. Again, we have performance indicators, we have correction recommendations, we have innovation recommendations also here being available. And for example, also sub-build process automations that we're going to pinpoint here where we're saying, hey, if you want to improve your procurement FTE productivity, there is something in store in a sub-build process automation in the end-to-end process source to pay that you should consider. And just a little sort of like feeling it's a cloud application, and therefore we have an inbuilt, obviously, help. We can see everything here. You've got introductory videos, and wherever you are, you'll be guided what to do. So SAP Signavio Process Insights is something that we have brought in the market in 2021 in September. I was lucky enough to work since then with a lot of customers. It's also part of the RISE offering. So if you have tuned in and you're an existing RISE customer, you also should be eligible to use Process Insights. And it's our starting point in the analysis phase to get a very, very fast 360-degree view of your processes with the capability or with the chance to identify immediate value potentials via correction recommendations, but also to see innovation recommendations that you consider in the design of your business processes. Having said that, I'm going to hand over to Susanne.
Thank you very much, Michael. And I'm very pleased to give you some insights now to get a better understanding how you can really apply SAP Signavio combined with SAP Business Technology Platform in your RISE transformation. So our business architects team has been applying SAP Signavio almost since the start in autumn 2021 to really make use of the best analysis to make sure that you have your best transformation and reveal the best value out of it. But before we come to this, I quickly want to go into our SAP BTP technology or business technology platform, which is the business user flexible but business-centric platform and foundation that is governed, but also that gives you the flexibility to make any development and to build on top of your core system. We have 7 dimensions to add value. The first one, most important, is that you keep your core clean, which means that you keep your core processes clean and accelerate the innovation, get the latest cloud updates, and make sure you can extend outside of your S/4HANA cloud system. The second one is the integration part of the business technology platform, where you can easily integrate third-party system, web services, have cloud connectors, and make sure you have some smooth transition also via non-SAP and other SAP systems. You can also automate your S/4HANA cloud processes and have pre-built automations which accelerate repetitive processes so that your employees can focus more on the high-value adding topics. You can achieve 360-degree insights with real-time and a single connected analytics platform as a single source. You have also a possibility to power strategic decisions and have comprehensive data warehousing solutions. And you can also accelerate your data migration with best practices, which means you have a faster transition into your new system, into your new landscape, and therefore be earlier and more competitive in the market. Finally, you have data-driven decisions where you confidently can really rely on and where you can make your business decisions. Next, please. Now, how do you generate business value with SAP S Signavio and SAP BTP? You can start improving your business right away. We have heard now quite a lot about the analysis and assessment, and thanks to Michael, we have shared and shown a very insightful demo of our SAP Signavio insights. If you apply this, you do a perfect value exploration, you can apply best practices, you've just seen, you can really use the artifacts, you can tweak it, and therefore you have a huge potential to understand what are your automation, optimization, and also your business transformation capabilities on process level, but maybe as well where your process is incompliant or where your processes are not efficient. The next step is that we do this as-is process documentation. And I remember very much from my times, in earlier times with my customers, where it was very intense and it was very cumbersome to really bring together process steps in a visualized format. With the SAP Signavio process modeler, this is something you can really do your as-is processes to really start your deep dive analysis. What we have as a BTP offering in addition is that we do a value discovery, which means we make sure we improve and we demonstrate you which strong value this business technology platform via extensions or automation potential or integration potential can bring to you, even before you do a prototyping, so that you can already have like a sneak preview into your system's future. You can also make use of a variety of use cases and value cases, which we have across our industries. So kind of best practices or someone who has done it before and gives you a bit of guidance and understanding how you can generate value. Next one, step 2, is we go really into to-be process assessment. We make sure that you have a clear understanding of your potential to-be processes, that you have a clear definition, and also that you have a good understanding how you can become an intelligent enterprise by applying business technology applications and offerings. Third step is then the process redesign and implementation. So we're setting up the to-be process and we set it up productive as we do a handshake as well across our board units. And then when you run productive, that we have this continuous improvement process and continuous process monitoring to really make sure we sharpen and are laser focused with your processes and being competitive, always up to date in the market. This ensures you that your business value is best revealed, and this ensures you as well that your process is running at best efficiency and compliance. You can optionally use the Solution Manager or the Calm API, or you can also, as said, make use of the Signavio Process Explorer best practices. And we're very glad to have more and more of the business platform and business technology platform content in there, which gives you a richness of already existing best practices. Next slide, please. Now, when we go to how-to guidance, insights to value engagement that really adds value to your business has been done with various customers over the recent years. So customers, for instance, in the retail industry, media industry, utilities, automotive, have been reaching out to us, or we have been collaboratively looking into SAP Signavio Process Insights reports, revealing and understanding the customer system, main transactional information, value drivers, etc. The next step is that we apply really business assumptions. This could be done via outside in a collaboration, but also via integrating it into the SAP Value Lifecycle Manager, where we have already best practices, value drivers, but also like cost of employees, some artifacts, and also costs attached to different process steps, so that we can really translate this transactional data into concrete value. As mentioned, this is the fast time to insight. Next then is to really make sure we focus on the use cases that have the highest impact and effort, and also that we focus on the ones that have the highest probability of being solved quickly. So short-term, mid-term, and also long-term use cases that we can put on a horizon to show you how you can actually transform this into business value quickly. Then with architectural expertise, we make sure we apply the SAP BTP portfolio. We offer them to the process level and the use cases by increasing process efficiency, by automation capabilities, by applying workflows, by applying extensions and additional integration capabilities to make sure that your future processes are run best, most efficient, compliant, and in an automated way so that you can deliver best value. Last but not least, we turn those solutions by implementing them into business potentials. That means we have the technology accelerators attached, which you receive from the business technology platform, and then realize the business value. This is the fast time to adapt. That means that whether you're a business user, whether you're a development user or hybrid, you can really apply our extensions and extensibility values on our business technology platform. You can go into low-code, no-code. You can go into Business Application Studio. You can apply pre-built solutions and pre-built applications, APIs, everything that you need in order to really shape your system according to your demand, but still being efficient, being quick, get the latest updates, and being innovative. Next slide, please. When we now look at the architecture and components that you use for the SAP Business Technology in those RISE transformations, you see that we have really the categories around the application development, the integration, the automation, data and analytics, and making sure that we have platform services that really combines it so that you can apply it on the hyperscalers of your choice, but also on runtimes and apply different runtimes. You can apply your non-cloud sub applications. As mentioned, you can integrate them, and you can also run your cloud applications with a clean core as best, extending it via the business technology platform. So let me share with you some examples that we do have around our use cases and customer cases on the next slide, please, where we have been working. One slide back, please. Where we have been really intensely working with our customers to explore the BTP business value. What you find here is an entire overview of the transformation, for instance, of unified trusted view of master data, or where we have validated and enhanced the S/4HANA cloud system of our automotive customers by building extensibility, where we have automated business document processing to ensure that you have a smooth process run, that you have an automation, and that you also have a monitoring of your processes and then working by deviations. Also, by applying the business technology platform in RISE transformation, we have enabled customers to really create a unified vision of operational and strategic financial planning and analysis, or that we have given some comprehensive view of purchase orders and invoices so that your production runs best and most efficient. You get in the latest information, and so you can have a lean production. Also by tackling supply chain disruptions to make sure you trace them, you solve them, and you get back to your most efficient supply chain. Additional use cases we have built around the delivering insights from live data from SAP and other hyperscalers and making decisions and deviations, and also to enable end users for electronic invoicing to ensure that you have a faster invoicing processing. So what you can see here, just a few customer examples, and I would like to invite you to really look into our sap.com BTP for S/4HANA to give you even more value cases and use cases where you can see, or to reach out to ourselves to make sure you have a best understanding how you apply SAP Signavio for your assessment, for your insights, and then also turning them into business value with our SAP Business Technology Platform. Next slide, please. Having said that, there's actually 3 steps to unleash your potential and your business potential. Set up this assessment meeting, as Michael and Tobias mentioned it before. You want to understand your as-is. You want to understand how your house looks today to make sure you best have an understanding how your house could look tomorrow. And when you have done this, you want to create this implementation roadmap to say which steps have to be done after or in parallel to make sure you have the most beautiful house built on an SAP Business Technology Platform as your best foundation, and by applying SAP Signavio to make sure you have the best assessment, the best transparency, but also the best intelligence to continuously improve your house and your setup. Having said that, handing back to Tobias, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Susanne, Tobias, and Michael for the insightful presentation. Tobias, feel free to unshare your screen so that we're all seen at the same time, and I would like to open it up for Q&A. So everyone, please, if you do have a question for the 3 of them, please post them in the chat to get them answered. The first question, and I believe that's more for Tobias and Michael, is whether SAP Signavio does only work for SAP solutions.
That's a great question. So definitely no. SAP Signavio was bought by SAP, and we have, I think, the most content for SAP solutions. We have the best integration into SAP solutions, like Susanne and Michael pointed out. But generally, we are an agnostic a business process management suite, both on the process analytics side as well as on the business process management side. You can use, and the processes generally, they don't care which IT solutions are behind. We can optimize the end-to-end processes. The platform can be deployed to each and every business user. There are many companies actually doing that, from the onboarding process of employees to basically getting them into the continuous business process management framework. So definitely no. We work very great on SAP with SAP solutions, but also far beyond.
Great, thank you. And yeah, you mentioned the business process management aspect. So is SAP Signavio a BPM or an operation management solution?
Maybe Michael, you want to take it?
No, you go.
So
I know that you like the question. I know that you like this question.
So it's definitely an operational solution. I mean, business process management term-wise, I mean, is known for process documentation and process governance primarily. Yeah, and for us, that's the core and heart of the solution, because it's the thing that you require in order to bridge the process design to the solution design. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to integrate with S4, with BTP, etc., in such a great way for the entire change cycle if we wouldn't do basically a very proper and market-leading BPM. Nevertheless, it's a very operational solution, because on top of this process models, we can basically deploy all your data. So via process mining, via process insights, which is kind of a smart mining because it's much quicker. We get all the operational data, even in a live context, if you want to, in order to have all the operational information then on top of the standard process models. And we can do, variant management and check also how the process is performing in real life. We also will have live integration to BTP build via action triggers, so you can be very much real time and operational with SAP Signavio.
Nice, thank you.
And just to add, because I also have an answer for that. I mean, again, I said a couple of times based on my experience. I mean, was working with customers the past years on their transformation journeys, right? They either have no BPM practice at all, or they had one that were completely decoupled and siloed from the SAP COE, just to say it. And for many reasons, right? But that obviously doesn't make a great deal of sense. Again, coming to the title and the subject of an S/4HANA transformation, the RISE transformation, that adds value. So that's why these things have to come together to add value. And this is not just like documenting processes for having them documented and having them being compliantly sitting somewhere if someone asks me. No, but this is basically the trigger to have an initial transformation, a fast, manageable one, as I said, one that allows change because change is transparent, but also to continuously go into a business process monitoring, understanding what are the KPIs that I want to monitor and have an eye on. So that's why it's definitely both, as Toby said.
Maybe also to add from my side 2 cents to this one. What we experience very often with customers is they have very heterogeneous landscapes, right? And very often they are not aware of their system breaks. So a lot of tasks are actually, when you then visualize the processes, they understand that this is manual tasks they do in between. And if it's even a folder that you bring from one desk to the other desk and the next person is really typing in the data and then actually it's getting into the backend system. This is where we have exactly this identification. And this is where we collaborate closely with architects to make sure that we understand these process inefficiencies, system breaks, and then we smoothen them out and show them how they can easily integrate. And this is the great thing about the core ERP plus the business technology platform, because it's integrated, which means we can help those customers to get rid of these folders from one desk to the other and make sure they are automatically integrated and technically integrated. And this helps, and by therefore you really accelerate your process efficiency and you reduce the duration of a process, right? So what has maybe been taken hours to days before, because you carried the folder and the next one had to open it, had to print in the data, maybe even some error proneness, this is avoided. And there is exactly this errors have been reduced and we have a smooth integration now between the systems. And this is where we talk about this continuous improvement of the processes and making sure we sharpen them towards really an efficient, technologically integrated, but also automated process system.
Great. Thank you for so many insights. I'm sure that was a helpful response for that question. Yeah, maybe Susanne, a question for you, I believe. How long does the insights to value engagement actually take?
I must say it depends on actually the scope. So what we have seen before is that we have various use cases. If you only apply the technology side of the house and use the in-process insights, this has actually been very quickly. If you then go into the iteration with the customer and help them, it depends. It could be days, it could be even longer. And we have a lot of customer engagements that take even longer because continuously they want to get guidance from our architects to make sure they really reveal the best BTP potentials and they build it into their processes. So we can maybe talk about sizes, saying from a few days up to a few weeks, depending on the scope and the use cases that a customer wants to be transformed. And I can reconnect to what Michael said before. It's always what customers can really absorb. So very often you need as well the resources on the customer side of the house, right? And to make sure that they are run perfectly together.
Makes
sense.
I
think Susanne touched basically 2 main points, and maybe let me highlight that of what we think in terms of business process transformation. One point is it's a very step-by-step approach. and you have to be able to also digest these insights in a certain way. Because you shouldn't be basically beaten by data in the first step. That's why we, from a product side, we did everything to make it very compelling. You can slice and dice it. You can go from a business perspective. You can go by process perspective. You can go by value drivers. You can go by process KPIs. But at the end of the day, the target is basically having these sessions that Susanne pointed out, really discussing solutions on that basis. So understand where the biggest potential is for improvement, and on that basis go into a solution discussion where the process meets the capability of what you already have in store in terms of IT solutions. And this is a little bit the magic part where you will define maybe new ways of working also on the technology level. You will map out how you want the process to run in the future, including, discuss that with your key stakeholders, be very data-driven in the discussion, and then map those new solution capabilities, including maybe innovation capabilities, to your new process. Then you can simulate it, you can run variants, you can check out how it will perform in reality, and then take a decision. Yes, we want to do this. This is how we want to use all the great software that SAP is providing. This is also where we want to do stuff. Susanne mentioned clean core. That's a very important topic. And have this very tangible discussion on the business side. And that's basically the step-by-step approach, which you can iterate, which you can take either in big initiatives like S4 transformations, like Michael pointed out, or really going step by step. And the good thing is you choose how you want to do it. You got all this at your fingertips, the entire transformation engine of SAP. And you can run it from there onward in the speed you want, because we very much appreciate that not every client, wants to have a big transformation every day. Being it from a capacity, from a budget, or just from priority perspective, that's completely fine. But you always should know, if you had the capacity, what's my next step and what will I get to it in terms of value. That's where we are going with when we talk about business process transformation from an SAP side.
Plus we have a lot, we have a lot of C-level as well that are talking about a future strategy, right? What they have in mind. But you have a disconnect very often to your current SS and how you get there. And that's exactly where the insights comes into play, and the insights to value comes into play, because we can really bridge this strategy to where are we today, how do we get there? And this is very crucial, especially in such huge transformations or such really like digital and technology transformations that we're in right now in the cloud. Michael, to you. And
I just wanted to add, I mean, again, based on my experience, and still unbelievable, in 2022, I had many cases, and also starting in 2023, where the move to S4HANA, where I'm very passionate, was just technology lift and shift. I changed to this HANA database, and that's about it. And as I think, Susanne, as you said, I'm shy to connect to my C-level, to my business strategy. This is why the slide was in the slide deck, right? And I think the key is, as many things in life, you have to get started. And I assume that some of you who tuned in and you will listen to this are in front of an S4HANA transformation, just because of reality kicks in, the systems are aging. You don't know what you have actually configured. The people are leaving at some point of time your organization because they are done, right? And they go in retirement. And you have this ECC system, it becomes more a liability, then it becomes your agile core that helps you to transform. So now you're going to go to S4HANA. And if you're now saying, oh, I'm doing this on the last minute, on the last edge, you just will do it as a technical lift and shift, which just at the end of the day, from my point of view, more or less costs you money, because you're trying to remain everything unchanged, because everything that you change is a risk. So my pledge or recommendation would do something little tiny to experience, to learn as an organization, to see that you can free up resources, because there's an interest. It's not a pain to do these things. It can be, even if it's work, I know it can be fun to determine there's something I haven't seen before, because they have the insights. And I do a little bit of an app here, and I do something. And once you've done that, you might better shape your S4HANA, your specific customer S4HANA project, because you have a little bit more confidence on what you can do. And again, I think that's a project where you as a customer should be in the driver's seat. There's a lot of great partners that help you. We help you, everybody helps you, but it's your core system, and you should take that faith in your hand And therefore, again, my pledge is get something little started with the technology on hand and get going with your IT and business together in a room and crack on as a preparation to have a successful transformation.
Great. Thank you. We have a few questions in the chat. Kumar is asking about governance and compliance. Can you elaborate on that a bit? Can that be implemented? What are recent updates?
Toby, you want to take that?
Oh, I'm not the GRC expert now, so you got me basically on that foot. Maybe we can come back on that one. Also, the question is, whether you're addressing the general SAP GRC component. I mean, yes, there are some use cases definitely for that, because if you talk business process management, you talk compliance all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I got the question correct. Yeah.
And then there are very good use cases for that one. But we are happy to get also engaged with our experts. I've seen another question in the chat, and as we have only 4 minutes, I'm going to come back to that one. So I mentioned basically instant coffee. Yeah. So SAP Signavio on the process analytics side has 2 main products. One is process intelligence, which is the classical process mining. The other is process insights, which is, the instant coffee, if I may call it so. Why is it instant coffee? Because we as SAP, we know how our systems works. We know the tables, we know where the data sits. We know basically all the transactions, we know the document flows, and we know also we can bridge these to value drivers and, to P&L impact. So of course, for the SAP solutions like SAP ECC/S4HANA, now in a couple of weeks also for SAP Ariba and other SAP solutions to come, we can offer these direct instant coffee process insight investigation with thousands of KPIs. Yeah? And no competitor on the market can do it in the same way. On top, we offer the classical process mining with a lot of accelerators also for SAP and non-SAP systems, in order to take the process analysis even beyond. But we all know that process mining requires always a little bit a reverse engineering approach towards what you want to see versus where do you get the data points from in order to construct the event logs. We're also very good in doing that. Yeah? But as maybe a suggestion, start with the instant coffee, because normally the S4 ERP system is really your core. And from there, you will have good indications where to go deeper and where to go broader with process mining. This also because normally the priority of your management is, show me the impact first, show me the numbers. What do I get out of it? And as you need absolutely no preparation time to be very actionable on process insights, as said, it's 1 or 2 subnode implementations. So it's very straightforward, very easy, and then it works. Yeah, it's the fastest way to start. Yeah, and in order to get the business also engaged, because you will have value indications pretty quickly, and then you can justify all the other initiatives that might come on BTP, on S4, or on the process intelligence mining side.
And Tobias, maybe to add to this, we can say, watch out for our blog posts that we have written on this one, and also the LinkedIn posts, to really have a good understanding how we apply it. Also some value cases that we mentioned there, and really where we go really deep into, say, meter to cash, procure to pay processes, to really give you some insights on how it is applied. Because as always, you want to see it hands-on, and this is what we deliver with concrete examples.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and Susanne, you just mentioned it, maybe before closing the call. You've seen I posted some links in the chat. So if you are interested in the topic of SAP Signavio in general, future updates, further insights on everything that has been presented today, feel free to follow the SAP Signavio topic page in the SAP community, and also feel free to use the Q&A area in the community to raise questions there if you have additional questions upcoming as well. And yeah, with that being said, thank you everyone who was listening in. Again, the recording will be available directly afterwards, and we will also share the slide deck in the video description down below very soon. And with that being said, maybe closing words from your sides as well, and then we would close the call for today.
we would say we were very much looking forward to see you very soon with us. Contact us, reach out to us, so that we can really convince you and share you what the added value is of SAP Signavio and the SAP BTP in your RISE transformation.
Nothing to add here. Thanks very much for tuning in.
Stay with me. Have a good rest of the day and see you and get started.
Thank you, the three of you as well. Great presentation. And bye, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.